Hi, guys. It is 1 o'clock in Illinois, and thanks for joining us again as we go live with our unemployment training seminar. As always, I'm joined by Sara Sadat. I'm Raza Siddiqui. We're on the set of Life, Love, and the Grind, but this is to inform everyone of what's going on with the unemployment situation. There's been a lot of frustration. There's been a lot of questions. We've been able to answer a lot of those on a daily basis by going over with our expert, Jeff Jacobson, who was an appeals judge at the Illinois Department of Employment Security, and he joins us again. He's going to go over some of the questions. If you have any questions, please do comment. We'll see them here. We'll ask them. But we always encourage, at the top, there is a link. If you press that link, you can pop up and ask your questions yourself. We always suggest that that's the best way to do it because you may have follow-up questions. You might have certain nuances that I'm not going to be able to, or Sarah's not going to be able to express properly. So we want to make sure that Jeff has his one-on-one counseling time with you and is able to answer questions that could influence and help not only yourself, but other people who might be joining who have the exact same questions. And we remind you, if you have answers to any of these questions, write them down as well, because we're here to help each other. With that, Jeff, I'm going to be popping you up in about 5 seconds here. Jeff, here you go. Jeff, can you hear us? All righty, and we see him. And Jeff, can you hear us?
You may be on mute, Jeff.
Yep, Jeff, just make sure that your mic is ready to go.
It looks like it's ready.
Perfect, we hear you now. Jeff, introduce yourself real quick.
Okay, so I'm Jeff Jacobson, as you mentioned. I've been a lawyer for about 30 years. I've practiced on employment, labor matters, employment matters. I also worked with the Illinois Department of Employment Security as an administrative law judge, deciding in about 10,000 cases during my time there. So we've been helping people daily, trying to do the best we can.
We have absolutely been collaborating more often than I've ever seen you prior to this crisis. I've lost count of how many we've done, but again, I just want to remind people, looks like we have close to 20 viewers right now. If you have any questions, keep them coming. We'll get them directed towards Jeff and get it going. Jeff, anything in particular that you want to start off with?
So I was just looking at the news. They're estimating that 3.5 million Americans will have filed first-time claims in the last week. Total looks like it's 26.5 million first-time claims. So those aren't people that have been on unemployment. Those are people that have filed since mid-March. And then it looks like the unemployment rate is surging at 14%, which may be the highest except for the Depression.
Wow. So we've heard in Illinois there's kind of a challenge to this stay-at-home order extending to June 1st. Some of our surrounding neighbor states are saying certain businesses will be opening. Do you anticipate this will change any of the dynamics of the unemployment rate?
I don't know, because there's a lot of people that are being paid, and so I don't know if the people that are going back to work are already being paid and not filing for unemployment benefits. It would be nice if everyone would be back to work. I don't know if every company is going to be in existence. I was just reading on the food processing plants. A lot of the employees are saying there's no way in the world they're going to work, back to work. They're not going to be standing next to hundreds of people without any protective devices. They just don't feel it's safe, and it seems like the coronavirus has gotten those plants also. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
We heard about a factory in Cicero yesterday where workers were like, there was somebody who was sick, and they said, we're not going back. We're not going back into that circumstance until you can prove you've sterilized the facility and made it safe for all of us. So,
right. I completely understand. And, there's going to be people that need the money and need to get back to work. And we know in the past we've had coworkers that were sick and showed up to work because they needed the money, and they end up getting other people sick. This now is a little different than the cold and the flu, a lot different than the cold and the flu. It's highly contagious. They don't even know how devastating it is. And I'm not embellishing, it's just that we just found out that animals could also carry the virus. So we're not really sure how much of an extent it is. My hope is it stays out of the food chain.
No, absolutely. I think we're all on the same page with you with that. And again, if you're watching this, I don't know if you're watching it on watch parties or in groups, but if you click on or comment, we'll be able to read your questions. I'm seeing a couple here right now. I was denied unemployment. I am a small business owner. What do I do now? Jeff, what do they do?
Right. So that's, it depends on how we've been distinguishing it is whether you're a 1099 or a W-2 owner. So if you're a 1099, you're not entitled to file for unemployment benefits yet. You have to wait till the estimated day is May 11th that IDES will be set up for that. If you're a W-2 earner and your wages have been reduced, then you can file for unemployment. You're given a day to file based on your last name. So do that. Your benefits go back to the date you were severed. So if you were severed, the middle of March and you filed today, your unemployment would start the middle of March. We're getting a lot of that. I was just looking on the Facebook page. There's still a lot of people that are confused on the 1099 sole proprietor and W-2. You can only file for unemployment benefits if you're a W-2 wage earner. You can be both. And if your W-2 job gets substantially changed, meaning you're working less hours, getting paid less, or not working at all and not getting paid at all, then you can file for unemployment benefits.
All right. And just if you see me looking down at the phone here, it's because I'm looking through the questions that are coming in. Let's see.
Let me give you some numbers for people to calculate. So your unemployment benefits will be approximately 47% of what your wages were. There's also an average determined that it has to be within that average. For if you have a non-working spouse, that's 9% you'll receive for that. And if you have dependent children, you'll receive 17.2%. If you have dependent children and a non-working spouse, the maximum additional over the 47 will be 17.2%. Is the maximum rate.
I know you've been talking to people in general about this situation. A lot of questions were coming in. Have you noticed people are having better luck getting onto the website now? I know in the previous couple of weeks when we were talking, it was crashing a lot. There was a lot of overwhelm. People weren't able to get through on the phone. I'm actually seeing some of that frustration again. People are chiming in with that. But what have you seen, Jeff?
So it looks like they're patiently working to get online. And understandably, it should be easier because there's less people filing every day. The surge was really the middle of March is when everyone was filing. Now there's small additions to it. The biggest problem now we're seeing is people are having problems, things aren't working, and there's a huge surge in calling in, which unfortunately, as much as we can help, sometimes I have to get it corrected over the phone. So that's a huge problem. I'm being told that if you get to the opportunity to do the prompts, if you type in 2, then 5, then 6, that should be able to get you through. But we're still hearing people are 100 times, 200 times, thousands of times calling in before they're able to get to the prompts. So you need to be patient, unfortunately.
Okay, I'm going to read a comment that came through here with a little bit of color. You tell me what you think of this. I was finally able to file today for my unemployment insurance. The lady was seemingly overwhelmed, very short with me. So I understand why. I'm sure lots of people have not been very kind to them. Once she had taken my information and gave me my certification date, I asked her, what about the prior weeks that I have not been able to get through? She said I would not be allowed to certify for those weeks. Is that to your understanding, Jeff? Is that how that works?
Right. So the system only allows you to certify for the 2 weeks. So you won't be able to certify for the previous weeks. You'll be getting benefits for that, though.
Mm-hmm.
That you just, how the system is designed was normally when you applied for unemployment benefits, that's when your unemployment benefits started. So then there's a 1 week waiting period. You don't get any benefits for that week. And then you call in 2 weeks later and you report what you've made, whether you've worked, how many jobs you searched for during that 2 weeks. And then 2 to 3 days later, you would receive a direct deposit or a credit on your debit card. Because everything's changed where when you call in doesn't start your unemployment benefits. The date that you were severed from unemployment or from employment, or the date your hours have substantially changed, is the day you get benefits. So the system isn't designed to go back and certify for the past. But I haven't heard any problems with people receiving their past money.
All right.
If you are, let me know. Call in, text message us, because I'd be curious if that's a problem.
And over here, and I know we've answered this a couple of times, but just for our new members who are joining up, wondering if anyone has advice on this. I filed unemployment for having decreased hours, was still working technically. Week 1, my income was over weekly benefit amount. Week 2, I did not work and received unemployment benefits. To keep going, do I need to file additional claim because week 1 was claimed over benefits amount, or am I allowed to just wait and certify again in 2 weeks since the second week was 0?
So you need to certify every 2 weeks when you're given the date to certify. Every 2 weeks you certify on that date. If you stop certifying, you'll terminate your unemployment benefits. If you go back to work full time, which it doesn't sound like this person has done, you'll report that you've gone back full time. If you received wages, whatever the number is, you report it. If it's more than your weekly benefit amount, you won't receive anything. If it's half your weekly benefit amount or less, it won't impact your benefit amount. And then everything over half, dollar for dollar, until you make what your weekly benefit amount is, it'll reduce your weekly benefit amount. I know you need to know a little math to follow along, but do not constantly file claims. You're only allowed to file one claim in a 1 year period based on your benefit year. So just keep reporting, keep certifying, keep saying what, put in there what you made, what you did. You'll do 2 weeks at a time.
All right. I'm going to just consult with my technical supervisor here, Sarah. So I'm seeing questions pop up on the Facebook that are not popping up here. Would there be a reason for that, or?
Because you're sharing a live video.
Okay.
So you're not just in the live video, you're sharing a live video. So you have a couple different streams going on right now on your phone, which is fine.
Okay.
That's why
do you have
questions
access to any questions here?
Yeah. I do have a few questions. Kenny was saying that he has been laid off since March 23rd, filed a claim on March 26th. He got his papers 10 days later. No debit card, haven't heard anything about cents or anything from his claims. And here it is, the 29th of April. So a month has passed and he hasn't seen any money. He hopes that he doesn't lose his house or his car. So this is a twofold question, right? So we're talking about eviction and losing your house and your car, but then we're also talking about what do we do as far as not getting the debit card or a check in the mail.
So you should never wait 30 days. If he hasn't received anything, and I'm assuming he requested a debit card versus direct deposit, he needs to contact the IDS immediately to find out what's going on. As I've been telling people, because it has been taking a long time to get through, some people several weeks. You can also send a letter to IDS. Hopefully they'll call you, include your claimant number and your telephone number, but you need to keep trying. It's the system within 2 weeks. I've been seeing everyone get some correspondence within 2 weeks. And after 30 days, you may have lost whatever happened. So whoever is sitting around and hasn't heard in 2 weeks anything, you need to contact them right away. And yes, you're going to be waiting. We've been talking about that, but you need to contact them right away.
Here's a question. If my brother made a mistake on his insurance claim, can he file another claim? Someone please help, she asks. He can't get a hold of anyone. He didn't know you put still looking for work since he was laid off for COVID, and his job said they will have him back once this is over. What does she advise her brother to do?
So people that are staying at home because the governor's order should not be putting down that they've been unable to go to work for the 5 days during that period. The definition is they should be putting down they're able and available and actively searching for work during the COVID-19 crisis. That's the definition. So that person should get that corrected if they were denied. You have then, if you're not getting a resolution within 30 days of getting the denial, you need to file an appeal to protect your rights. Someone may be able to fix it before the appeal, but once 30 days has gone by, there's nothing most likely that can be done under the law to correct that. So if you're not getting benefits, if something's not happening and you're getting close to the 30 days, mail in your appeal.
Yep. And just so everyone is aware once more, the number that you can call for IDES customer service is 800-244-5631. If you just do a Google search on customer service, unemployment, Illinois, this is the first thing that pops up. Again, the number is 800-800-244-5631.
And I actually, so I got a question from a contractor. They've been denied. Do they do the bi-weekly certification? So if the contractor's a 1099, the process isn't ready yet. So there's not much you can do except waiting till May 11th to do anything. So that's been the big issue. People throughout the state aren't really getting the message that unemployment right now is just for W-2 wage earners. There's a lot of confusion still. We've talked about it with the questions too.
And we just got a question asking, are you taking live questions? Yes, that is the whole purpose of this dialogue. So if you have any questions, please do write just like you did in the comment here. It looks like Britt has joined us to ask a question in person. Britt, give me, or it looks like she just now logged off, but feel free to log back on. We'll take you on here to answer your question live. And Adam, yes, if you have any questions, please do write in and we will take your questions. Sarah, do you have any more coming up on the page there?
Yeah, basically the questions are around small businesses. I know we touched on this in the past. If you are a self-employee of your business that you hold, what's the protocol? How quickly can you apply? We're really hurting, some of the people are saying. So if you could just shed some light on that one more time, Jeff, that would be great.
Right. So I'm being told that if you're an independent contractor, you need to wait till May 11th. However, you can apply for the payroll protection program now. That was changed, I believe, April 13th to allow 1099 sole proprietors to apply. So you want to go to your bank. I'm sure they're all applying online instead of having people show up So that's unfortunately the best advice I can give at this time.
Okay. And Adam writes, I initially filed with still working reduced hours, but since then have been completely furloughed. Do I need to change this by reapplying or do something different to get this rectified?
So if your certifications have terminated because you said you went back, I would file now. I would file a claim, and then you'll get a new claim and you'll be able to certify. Doubtful, that you've used up your 26 weeks of benefits. And how it works is you'll hear there's talk or discussion, you get 26 weeks of benefits. It's actually 26 times your weekly benefit amount. So if some weeks you don't receive the full benefit amount because you've been working, making some money during those weeks, your bank account is 26 times your weekly benefit amount. If you receive the full amount every week, it'll last you for 26 weeks, but then the federal government kicks in and extends that. There's extensions, and that may, depending how long this goes for, those extensions may get extended also.
One more question. We're an LLC company. There's no 99 or W-2. Do we still qualify for unemployment? And she says, thank you in advance.
Okay. So if you're not a W-2 as an LLC, you're not receiving any wages, so you're not entitled to benefits. If all you're receiving is dividends, you may be able to file as a sole proprietor under the system that's coming up May 11th. You may also be able to file under the payroll protection program. I'd be curious whether you've actually been receiving 1099 income, but there may be things available outside of unemployment. But right now, unemployment is just handling W-2 earners.
All right. If on FMLA, can you apply for unemployment due to COVID-19?
So if you're on FMLA because of fear of the COVID-19 or you have it, you can now if you're a W-2 earner. Although under FMLA, the first 2 weeks, you'll be receiving sick pay and vacation pay. It's 10 working days, so that's why it's 2 weeks. So you won't be able to get unemployment benefits for those 2 weeks. And then after that, the employer has to pay you. There's a formula, and that formula may exceed the amount of your weekly benefit amount. So you may not be entitled to it. And how things work. So if you file a claim, the employer then gets charged with that claim. And when they calculate their state unemployment tax next year, it's going to go up because there's more claims. Now that'll last the employer for 3 years. So in order for an employer to avoid having a high tax rate, if they get the payroll protection program loans or gifts, and they pay you money that exceeds or equals your weekly benefit amount, then they don't get chargeable for the tax rate. But how it works is, and I'll give you an example, one of my people that have been helping, we've kind of became friends down in Springfield, they're bus drivers, and they get 47% of their weekly benefit amount, plus the $600, which comes close to what they would make driving buses. Unfortunately, the employer pays them. I shouldn't say unfortunately, it's just how the system works. The employer pays them an amount equal to their weekly benefit amount. So they don't get their weekly benefit amount and they don't get their $600. So what they're getting is approximately 47% of what they were paid versus being able to get the full amount of unemployment benefits. So it's a lot of these employees are upset, but I understand the employer wants to keep their tax rate down. So the government has created somewhat of a conflict between employees and employers now with all these plans that are in place.
Sorry, do you have any more questions?
So I'm seeing some questions. And then, you know what, I'm going to go through the procedures. I know you two are probably, Raza and Sara, are probably getting bored with it. But
no, not at all. We're looking for questions on the group as well. So anything that you would like to say, make sure that you do. But yeah, if it looks like we are getting bored, it is not. We have gone over this conversation a few times, but it's more important that the information gets out there to everyone who's listening. So what you see Sara and myself doing is going through and looking through some of these questions that are coming through. But Jeff, please do feel free to say what you were going to.
So most of them know the beginning process now. In fact, there's a huge percentage of Illinois that's now very familiar with unemployment. But it starts by filing a claim. Once you get the claimant number, you've then been in the system. You don't need to keep filing. There's a process to go to the workforce that hasn't worked. And so people think that they haven't applied. But once you get your claimant number, you have now applied for unemployment. If you don't get that claimant number, you've done something wrong and you need to try again. You will then, whether you did direct deposit or debit card, you will get a letter stating that you were either getting your benefits or you're denied. If you're denied, you can try to call the local office. You will then get a determination letter. The determination letter may be different than the initial letter. The initial letter may say you're entitled to benefits, and the local office determination letter may say you're not entitled to benefits. That's not unusual. They've looked at it and decided they need to change their opinion. Go ahead.
No, Jeff, I was just going to say we've had an influx of new viewers coming in, and just to explain what we're doing, myself, Raza Siddiqui, Sara Sadat, on with Jeff Jacobson, we're talking about how the procedure for unemployment goes through. There's been some problems. There's been some delays in getting this rolled out, and there's been more than that, a lot of questions. And so we have Jeff Jacobson, Sara Sadat, and I taking it upon ourselves to every day at 1 o'clock come and answer questions in this Facebook Live format. A lot of questions seem to be coming in that we want to make sure that we get to, because again, this is our opportunity to help people and get these questions answered, because at the end of the day, this is money that you're entitled to. Molly asks, I have a question about JobLink. I don't know if you can help me. I couldn't remember my password for my JobLink username, so I made a new one. Is this fine? I found my password from a year ago, but when I put it in, it says you have been locked out for a certain amount of time. Please let me know if the new one would work.
So I would try it. I don't know. I know thanks for this question, because this comes up every once in a while. So if your password's not working and you can't get on, you do need to call into IDS to get it reset. Unfortunately, I have no help yet on a way to get around that. So I would try your new password for the job link, although most people don't need to be searching for a job. If your job, company has fired you or the company closed down, but if it's because COVID-19 and the job is available and will become back up, and because the governor's order, you need to stay at home, you don't have to be looking for a job, but you should apply anyways.
Okay. And I see a part 2 for the question coming up. And I just want to remind people that you can click the link on the top of this page and pop up here yourself, which is important because we can't always find the nuances of the questions. We want to make sure you get your questions answered thoroughly. So it's always better to do it. And how often do you get the chance to talk to an attorney and say, hey, this is what I want, this, and that, and
For free.
For free. So this is the opportunity to do that. Jeff has been nice enough to join us. Jeff, again, it seems like we had an influx of people. Tell people about your experience again and how you got into doing what we're doing today. And then
what
I'll
makes
ask
you an expert, right?
Exactly. And then we'll ask the second part of this question right here.
So I've been practicing law for almost 30 years. I used to be an administrative law judge with the state of Illinois. I've decided on approximately 10,000 cases. I practice labor and employment law. I mean, we have a general practice here, myself and the associates, from estate planning, to bankruptcy. But, we're focusing on these live streams on unemployment because that's the big issue. And because twofold, it's a huge problem. People are suffering. We've decided to do this to help people out. And so it seems to be helping a lot of people. I know the creation of the Facebook webpage that you two have done has been a lifesaver for I don't know how many people in Illinois. So I decided courts are closed right now. My wife would prefer I sit in the office. So from 1 to 2, I'll try to help as many people out as I can. And also, if you don't get your answer here, you can always try to get a hold of me at 331-222-9529. You can also text me at that number. I'm trying to answer as many questions I can. If you go on to the Illinois Unemployment Guidance, is that me?
I believe it might be. Illinois Unemployment Guidance Facebook group has been another good resource. I know a lot of the questions we're getting that are not coming in live are questions that were asked in the last couple of hours on that site, and that you have been and we have been very proactively trying to answer that with the information as it comes in. But again, nothing beats being able to speak to Jeff live and get your questions answered during the 1 o'clock hour. If you can't do it today, it's going to be as long as we can potentially do it 1 o'clock every day. So we have another question coming in here, Jeff. Part 2 of the question. He says, my spouse is on disability. Do I enter him as unemployed when I file my claim? Also, I am on furlough and will go back after this is over. So should I enter looking for employment?
So, once again, if you're on furlough, and it's because of COVID-19, you can register, you can look for up to 3 jobs a week. But under the new definition, you don't need to be looking for jobs. And you're able and available for work if you're stuck at home. So there's been a lot of people that are stuck at home at the stay-at-home order, and they've been putting down that they're unable to go to work. They're unable to work, but that definition is not right. So the times you would be unable to work is if you, in the past, you were ill, you were physically unable to go to work, and that's when you would not be able and available to work. That's when you would put down that you could not work. But now, because of the COVID-19, the definition is if you could work from your house, not that there are jobs, but if there was a job, would you be able to do it in your house? So, that's like right now we're working from our house.
We are working from our house, but there's so many industries that even though they technically probably could in certain situations, like for instance, hairstylists and hair salons probably would be dissuaded from doing that. It's probably with the stay-at-home order. So again, how would that factor in? And I asked that because we had someone who mentioned that she's a hairstylist. I know from what we've learned in some press conferences past, you probably shouldn't be doing hair on the side.
Well, no, it violates the governor's order. And, there is the one judge, and I think it's Clay County, Illinois, that said one person doesn't have to follow the governor's order, but the rest of the state has to comply with the governor's order. And so you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be risking everyone's life. The medical professions are saying we need to stay 6 feet apart. We shouldn't be doing those things. Even Dr. Fauci, for the White House, doesn't think that we should be doing those kind of jobs. So yeah, unless you're in the medical profession, I would stay away from people.
Hey Jeff, actually, just tell us a little bit about just as a little bit of a tangent. What is going on with that challenge to the stay-at-home order? I could be speaking out of terms, but it was a Illinois state senator or maybe a state rep who challenged the state constitutionality of the stay-at-home order.
I think it was a state rep.
Yeah.
And so Governor Pritzker has filed an appeal yesterday. So we'll wait to hear from the appeal. The comments that he had made it was for him and his constituents, but it turns out the actual lawsuit was just for him. It was just for him not to have to follow the governor's order, although I don't know what it is he would be able to do. For example, he couldn't go to a barber shop. He could not go into a restaurant and sit and eat because none of those entities are allowed to violate the Pritzker's order. So, and I'm guessing as a legislature, he has free reign to go to and from Springfield to do the work of the legislatures if they do have to meet in person.
So the whole exemption that he filed, that it was for him and his constituents, the constituents would not be covered under his.
It wasn't for the constituents. He wasn't filing a class action. He was just filing it as just himself.
Okay.
But so they're saying, and I don't know, they're saying it was a political ploy to, say it was for the constituents, but it was just himself. He was the only named plaintiff in the lawsuit. So it would only, the judge's decision would only impact him. And it's because it's judged in Clay County, it would only impact, the parties that are before him. I mean, I don't know how many judges are in Clay County, but, for example, in DuPage County, there are approximately 45 judges. One judge can decide that you don't have to follow the governor's order, and another judge can find that you do. So it's only who's before that judge.
And explain again how that works. You were saying, courthouses are closed during this whole epidemic, the whole pandemic. You were saying that some of these motions can still be filed. And how does that go? Explain.
So the courthouses aren't exactly closed. So the criminal proceedings have to proceed. And for example, we're doing orders of protection. So those are proceeding ahead. I mean, what's happening now, I don't remember the recent stats, but domestic violence has shot way up since the stay-at-home order. So the order of protections are going ahead at the same speed they were. There are judges available throughout Illinois. Even with the federal courts, they're still hearing emergency basis matter. Now, federal court is better structured for doing hearings without being in person. But it's, they're still hearing it. So if someone has an order of protection, we're going to court. We will be going in right away for them. There's all sorts of emergency matters that can't wait. The courts are open for.
Yeah, we're having intermittent internet issues. as you
With
can
me
tell.
or you guys?
With you, Jeff.
Yeah.
It looks like you may be on a solid platform now. So let's
Continue ahead.
Yeah.
People just don't want to hear some of the things I have to say. But yeah, so the courts are still proceeding. I mean, obviously, Clay County, the judge heard the case. You can send in, some of the motions the judges are deciding without people in front of them. Or you file your brief, the judges read it and make a decision. I've got some of those going on. We're for evictions. Landlords are filing for eviction still. Now, no one can be evicted, thrown out of the house by the sheriff, but the judge can order that they be evicted and a judgment against them. And when the system gets back up and running, they will be evicted by the sheriff. Now, they only have, the tenants only have 30 days to file a motion to vacate. So if a judge, and I'm not aware of any judges doing it today, but let's say a judge has ordered that a tenant be vacated today, and then 2 months from now, the sheriff starts to go out and evict the person. More than 30 days has expired, so the person would not be able to stop that eviction.
Jeff, I know you've worked with a lot of unions, members from mine, members from IBW. We've done plenty of workshops. Kind of tell me about how receptive they've been and sort of the dynamic of work you've been able to do with Chicagoland's labor industry with this current crisis.
So thanks. Yes. So we've been, dealing with the unions, answering the questions. Some of them have a multitude of jobs, gigs. I've learned the phrase gig among union members. I thought it was only for musicians. So some of them are 1099, some of them are W-2 in the union. So we've been helping those. Union members are unique in the law. The code allows union members to not have to look for a job if they've been laid off. All they have to do is comply with their local union's regulations. So we've been helping them out. We've been getting the word to all the unions. Feel free to ask questions. Call me, 331-222-9529 and help. And I noticed that, and I've been meaning to answer this question. So someone has a question, their spouse is disabled. If your spouse isn't a wage earner, you would claim that spouse when you file for unemployment benefits. So that would help.
It looks like we have a caller calling in with the name Icebox. Icebox, I'm about to take you live. Just give me a thumbs up if you are ready to be taken live with your question. All righty. Hey, Sarah, come here for a sec. But yeah, so and we got a couple other questions coming in too. I'm about to take Icebox here.
Oh.
And you're welcome, Paul.
Sorry about that.
Yep. Thank you, Paul. All right, Icebox, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, you got a question for Jeff Jacobson?
Yeah, I'm having an issue with my unemployment card that I had received. The issue is it was frozen, and I'm trying to get a hold of them to get the card unfrozen, but I have not had any luck with getting a hold of anybody. I'm currently on the phone with them right now, and I have been on the phone with them for like 6 hours now, and all's what I'm on hold. I don't know if you can hear the music in the background.
So I'm being told if they mention the $600 federal benefit, you're in the system. Have you heard that? Although they'll hang up, you wouldn't have been on hold that long. Unfortunately,
this is for just the card itself. I was receiving my $600. I was receiving all of my unemployment stuff, and then for some reason my card was froze. So I'm trying to get a hold of the card holder, and the card holder, they're not answering the phones at all. I've been trying to do this since Monday.
The debit card holder?
Yes.
Oh, you should be calling the Illinois Department of Employment Security. And do you have a checking account?
Yes, I do.
You should try to get that converted to direct deposit, and then you won't have to deal with the debit card. It's more efficient according to the state. But
Okay.
so you should be calling the state of Illinois.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because you might have other problems. There may be something wrong. Hopefully, they just keep up. Do you know what your balance is? Are they every 2 weeks?
Yeah.
They're adding money?
I'm able to check my balance online, and the money is going into the account. It's just the card itself has been frozen. I've even went to a key bank and spoke with somebody there, and they're saying that there's multiple people that are having this issue.
Yeah, this is the first I've heard of this, and I will try to get some more detail. But I would call IDS and talk to them about it, because maybe they can transfer it over to a direct deposit. But I'm at least glad that the money has been put to your account. I'm a little disappointed that you can't get to it, because
Yeah.
critical money. It's for food and rent and housing expenses.
Yep. And
Exactly.
that number again is 800-244-5631. So go ahead and give them a call.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for calling in with your question. We hope this gets resolved for you quickly. And thank you. Jeff, I actually have heard that a couple of times from various members that I've been dealing with as well. It seems like it's an intermittent problem that seems to be occurring for certain people. And if you're just joining us again, looks like we've again had another a wave of people joining us. Sara Sadat, Raza Siddiqui, and Jeff Jacobson were kind of on discussing some of the questions regarding unemployment that Jeff has been asked. We're trying to make it kind of a more automated process where we can answer questions. And if you look on the comments, sure, people are answering questions organically for each other. We're just trying to get out there and help get the message on what to do. There's a lot of questions out there, a lot of uncertainty, and we'd like to try to make it as easy as possible for people.
And I want to apologize. So Icebox, I just noticed he's from Indiana. And so I don't know the process in Indiana. So I see. So he should call not IDS. So I think, Sarah, you gave him the Illinois phone number, right?
I did. Let's we'll look up Indiana right now. But that's a good catch. I hadn't noticed that.
Right. And if you're still listening, Icebox, we're going to give you a new phone number. Although you probably will look it up too. So we're only able to answer Illinois questions.
Correct. And speaking of which, we got a couple right here. I certified this week and did not get the extra $600 a week, and I am off due to catching COVID from work. How can I fix this? That's a tough situation.
Okay, so you have to get your weekly benefit amount first. So if you don't get any weekly benefit amount, you're not going to get the $600. So I don't know if it's clear whether you were getting a weekly benefit amount. So, for example, someone who hasn't made any wages in the last 5 quarters will have a 0 weekly benefit amount, and so they're not going to get the $600. Someone that's been on unemployment and expired before the extension, before the March 29th date, they won't be getting any unemployment benefits now either. It won't get extended. The federal extension only goes to an effect if you had unemployment benefits on or after March 29th. So I don't know if that answers your question. If you want to pop up with whether your weekly benefit amount is, you're getting it. So that's the thing. If you file as a 1099, you won't be getting any weekly benefit amount because you have no wages, and therefore you don't get the additional $600 federal payment.
Jacqueline responded, I did get my weekly benefits. And we'd like to remind Jacqueline and anyone else who'd like to, you can click that link pop up. That way you can ask your questions and dialogue with Jeff directly so that we can get the questions answered in a more efficient format, but she says she did get her weekly benefits.
So Jacqueline, you're going to need to call in because something's wrong. Because if it's weekly benefit amount after March 29th, you're entitled to your $600 a week. There's, something is one of the flags in the software program is messed up. Once again, I'm assuming this is Illinois, but there is no exception. If you're getting weekly benefit amount as of March 29th, you're entitled to $600 a week. Is it me you're waving me on, Sarah?
If you notice Sarah looking distracted and waving,
we received a package.
Yeah.
Right? So this is like the mailman comes and he drops off a package, and I have a very
eager young child who's
who is ripping this box apart,
trying to carry this thing bigger than her up the stairs. So we're kind of like, well, we got put this show on, but we want to avoid any sort of disaster here. But yeah, if you see her waving, it's not her flirting with you, Jeff. Not quite yet. It's
I thought she was trying to get me to wrap up.
I apologize.
We're telling her to wrap up with whatever she's trying to do.
So super distracted. These are the benefits of working from home, homeschooling, all of that stuff, while still continuing to do these podcasts. Joe asked a question, and I know I have my heart out to a lot of the Uber drivers that are out there.
I did want to ask about the gig economy, so this fits in just perfectly.
Let me ask this question, and then let's have a discussion for the remainder of the 10 minutes. I applied early this month. That's what Joe says. He's an Uber driver and has been certifying since and got his debit card. It states that he's eligible for $0. I've worked in the last 5 quarters. Can you tell us why he would possibly be eligible for $0?
So, once again, kind of guessing here, but if he was 1099, then it would be $0. If he was working as a W-2 for the 5 quarters, then he should contact the state, because my guess is someone didn't report his W-2 income. They might have had Uber might have had his social security number wrong, and so someone else was getting credit for his work. But if he was making W-2 wages, there's something wrong. And he'll have his W-2 statement from last year that he can submit to IDS. So I would definitely do that. Also, those are one of the cases where he could write in the letter, including his W-2 statement, to IDS with the information. That's 33 South State, 8th floor, Chicago, Illinois, 60603.
Okay, looks like we have a couple new people joining, and just a reminder as to what we're doing here. I know the people who have been listening, because a lot of us have been listening, or a lot of people have been listening regularly, but just to let the new people know, we are doing an unemployment seminar with Jeff Jacobson, Sara Sadat, Raza Siddiqui, again, getting the word out. We have some more questions coming in, and I want to get this one out. Another one about the debit card. This one does look like it's from Illinois. I never received my IDES debit card, and online it says I was already paid my benefits on the card. Wow. Now I received direct deposit, which you were advising to do. So that part is good now, but how do I receive those lost benefits that I never received? Any advice for that?
So if lost benefits, is it me that's you there?
A little bit.
There's a little delay in the internet, so
yeah, which is to be expected, no big problem. But again, the question is, I never received my IDES debit card, and online it says that I was already paid my benefits on that card. He later signed up for direct deposits, but how does he receive those lost benefits that he never received?
So he's going to have to call the state and get that. And I'm trying to shut down. One of my virus programs is doing a search. Bear with me a second.
Sure.
You guys there?
Yeah.
So he's going to have to call the state to find out where that money's gone, see if they can transfer it to his direct deposit. and get it taken care of that way.
All right. Jacqueline asks, Sarah, maybe you can help with this. Can you give me a phone number to contact a person to make sure that I have the right number regarding the weekly benefits?
And again, Jacqueline, for Illinois, it's 800-244-5631. And for Indiana, we have 866-333-4606. We are not experts in Indiana. We don't know how this is going to work in Indiana. All we could do is just refer you to the unemployment office in Indiana, and hopefully they can answer you a lot better than we can. But for Illinois, it's 800-244-5631.
And just a quick stroll down memory lane. I know when we first started this, Jeff, and you were talking to some of my friends and members, some of the sports guys who are obviously in a very tough situation with sports games being canceled. You did talk to quite a few people from various different places. And it sounds like this situation we had with computer systems just completely failing, people being overwhelmed, has started to slow down in some other states. I'm not sure what you're hearing in Illinois, Jeff, but it sounds like there's still a fair amount of workflow that's got to be gotten through.
Well, there's, definitely the internet is being used a lot more than it was. It's taken a lot longer on computer stuff. I'm still experiencing some technical difficulties on my end, but I don't have an IT person like you guys do on staff. So there's problems all over the place. I anticipate next week's going to be worse. I also anticipate with the certification process, it's going to be worse because, as we've been talking about, the people that have been applying for unemployment benefits a lot of them have already been applied. Now, every 2 weeks, everyone in Illinois is calling during those 14 days. It's not spread out over months. It's every 2 weeks, everyone's calling. And so the system's going to get slammed. And now appeals, because some people, the only way they can solve their problem is to file an appeal. And so hopefully the administrative law judges can come up with some expedited process.
And you were saying yesterday that you anticipate the appeal systems are now going to get back, though, which I guess
right. Because they had enough administrative law judges to handle the workflow for just average unemployments. Now we're at a huge level. So if anyone's with the governor's office that's watching this, please reach out, because I'd like to give some advice to help smooth it out with my 30 years of experience. And I used to be a computer programmer, so I understand how the software works. So I kind of have an IT person here. More questions.
Jeff, I know Sarah's got to jump off here pretty shortly. I don't know what your availability is. I know we usually go for an hour, but we got some more questions coming in. What do you want to do, Jeff?
Yeah, so why don't we answer the questions, but by 2:10 we'll end this.
All right. Sarah, can you still 2:10, or do you have
I have to get
all right.
going.
Sarah's got to get back. Her lunch hour. Thanks.
See you tomorrow.
So again, if you're just joining us, we do this now daily at 1:00, trying to provide some guidance to help with unemployment issues because of the uncertainty going on there and kind of some of the computer issues and frustration. So this is something that we're going to be doing with Jeff Jacobson, Sara Sadat, Raza Siddiqui, 1:00 every day. Tony asks, I have my full-time job and have been working, but I also had a 1099 position that was a good chunk of my income, and I am not able to work there now due to COVID. Am I still eligible to collect unemployment benefits for this 1099, even if I am still working my full-time position, which I get a W-2 for?
So if you're still working your W-2 job, you won't be able to file unemployment for that now. When they come up with the rules on May 11th on the 1099, you should be entitled to benefits for the reduction in your income related to the 1099. I don't know what the weekly benefit amount will be, but you may have to claim wages. So how it works for W-2, and it should be the opposite for 1099. On W-2, if you lost your job and you were receiving 1099 income, that wasn't considered wages and didn't need to be reported. I don't know if what they're going to do for 1099s is if you've lost your 1099 income, if you have to declare your W-2 income to offset that. I'm not sure how it's going to work. If they follow the same spirit, then if you've lost your 1099 income, you should not be claiming your W-2 income. But I haven't seen all the rules and the regs and the administrative proceedings for this new area that's coming out in about 2 weeks.
I think that's fair. Hopefully, Tony, that answers your question. And like I said, Jeff has agreed to go till 2:10. But if we don't get to your questions today, we're going to be doing this daily, 1 o'clock, for as long as we can, trying to get the questions out. If you can't join us here, there's also the Illinois Unemployment Guidance Facebook page, which is kind of the home of where we started all this, right, Jeff? Well, actually, we started even prior to that when we were working collaboratively with members of the community, members at various unions, and getting the message out to them. But there's a lot of different formats and platforms where we can continue to get these questions answered.
Yeah, you actually started this when Life, Love, and the Grind was, kind of just getting started. You asked me to come on and just talk. And we did, and now this took off on its own.
Oh, and I'll tell you this: if you guys want to see any of the older versions of this, because we've answered several other questions unrelated, we can continue. You can search "Life, Love, and the Grind," the Media Essentials page, and kind of get an idea of some of the other questions we've answered. But Tony says thank you. So I believe that has answered his question to an acceptable degree. But Jeff, I guess with that, I know you got to run. Sarah's already trying to take conference calls. So we can pick this up tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Is there any parting words you'd like to impart?
No, if someone feels they need to talk personally or has a unique question, they can contact me 331-222-9529 or go to our website is jeffjacobsonlaw.com. We're trying to answer questions. We can't get to all of them, and I apologize to those that I can't.
Sounds good, Jeff. And so then I will see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And till then, stay safe, stay productive.
Yes.
All right.
Bye, everyone.